الجلسة مثل ما نكون شايفين راح تحكي
session is going to speak about GBV risk mitigation in the site planning phase.
دائما أنا بحب أبلش
Start the
الجلسة.
session, I would like to start from the title. The title is saying GBV risk mitigation. So the first question for me is going to be, whom from you have heard about GBV risk mitigation or GBV risk, which is gender-based violence? So who heard about this terminology? So please put one yes or no in the chat box or in the interaction emojis. Yarub, many thanks to you. Omar, thank you. Perfect, perfect. Someone has said no. Thanks, Thomas. Perfect. Let's go a little bit further. Whom from you have heard about GBV and he believes in him that he knows what is the meaning of GBV, even that he have heard about it. Please put one yes, whatever. Half, okay, Omar. I know it is still early and you are not like awake, but please let's try. Yeah, let's concentrate. Perfect, thank you. Khalid from Maram, half. Let's go further, a little bit harder. Who have heard about GBV and he is sure that he knows exactly what does it mean, GBV? Who heard about GBV and he is sure that he knows exactly what does it mean?
يعرب ممتاز.
يعرب perfect.
طيب يعرب بتحب تشارك؟
يعرب, would you please, if you want to, I don't like to put you on the spotlight. If you would like to share with us about the GBV, what does it mean? What is it like? If yes, please, let's open your mic. If not, raise your hand so we can open your mic. If not, so it's okay, no worries. The aim of this session is to be familiar with the GBV terminology and to reflect that on the site planning. So, Yarub, would you raise your hand so we can unmute you if you want to? So let me start with a little briefing. What we want from you, so the mic is not opening. I'm a co-host, I'm going to open your mic. Please come forward, Yarub. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
عم تسمعني؟
Do you hear me? Yarub, if I want to hear you, you should be on the French channel, please. Good morning. Good morning for you. How are you? Are you okay? Fine, thank you. For me, this is not the first time attending related to GBV and regarding this terminology or anything related to GBV. But during planning for the project, I believe that I have enough knowledge about this terminology as I'm implementing that in all our projects, even that we haven't worked in specialized GBV so far, but always we are implementing this terminology and mainstreaming in all our projects regarding harassment, abuse, verbal abuse against women, men, children. It can be in every spot and level of work. And we are working in our project to implement and ensure that this technology is applied as much as we can.
إنه دائما في عندنا
Fusion,
بيكون في structure أو
whatever.
في بيكون في
In every project, we try to make sure that we have a structure or mitigation for
كتير.
any risk regarding GBV in our project. So I'm one of the people that I have a good knowledge and have an awareness about GBV risk mitigation, and it is implemented in real life. Many thanks for you, Yarob. I'm going to mute you again. Yarob has said about a lot of areas during this session. He was talking about risk mitigation, which is the title of this session, and this is the main part of this session that we are going to work on. He mentioned about categories who can be facing this risk, gender, age category. We're going to see together that most of the groups facing GBV are women, girls, and he has mentioned a main category that all the project programs, they should have a component regarding GBV risk mitigation, and it is very important in every activity. We are going to watch, to see that and watch this through this, witness this through the session. One thing we would like to mention about GBV risk mitigation, that it is not only about the meaning of GBV risk mitigation, but it is about some. So the guidelines we have regarding many categories and titles for GBV went to Google and wrote the meaning, so we can have lots of meaning and identification. This is not about what we would like to mention. It is already there, but we would like to clarify some terminology regarding GBV, which is normally is not that obvious during the word, during chat. The main issue, the main thing that GBV is not one form. As Yarob has said, it is of many forms. It can be physical, verbal, it can be social. The GBV, the gender-based violence, can be including lots of many forms, as we have talked about. But the main idea about it, and the most important and central point, that it is related with the expectations of the cultural and social roles between the two genders. In every civilization, when we have a male and female, we have a social expectation for those two genders. So let's think about a male with his wife, pregnant wife. The nurse would come out and say, congratulations, you have a boy. And from there, we have expectations about this newborn baby. We have social behaviors and social activities related to expectations, starting from the tip we are providing the nurse, even to the gifts and baby shower party we're providing, throwing to the babies and it is not a rule, but it is the dominant cultural practices. It doesn't mean that every case is like that, but we are talking about the most dominant issue. We are not saying this is better, worse. No, we are talking about that there are some differences about expectations. So, what if the nurse went out and the nurse said, congratulations, you have a baby girl. And then this man, how much the percentage that this guy would think about his baby girl would be a nuclear scientist, or what do you think about expectations? He's going to think about, okay, I need to protect her until she's married and going to her husband. Yeah, for sure. Maybe she's going to university, she's going, even with her going to the university, there is a traditional thinking about how she's going, I need to protect, provide. So those are social expectations, and those are called social powers. So it is internationally, not only in our society, that there is a social power in this society. The social power is something we can notice, but maybe it is not physical. It is about the male brother dominating his female daughter. Maybe it is the community leader over the others. It is about the grandfather over the family. Maybe these powers include bullying, harassment, or the English terminology is undermining. So it is about not giving this his respect or put him in his own level. So it is about lots of resources exposed to those people and how they can use it. And it is about using physical power. So this terminology in general, GBV, have been used in most cases to speak about the differences, the structural differences in power. Structural differences in power that is based on that gender. This is the terminology that we are talking about, the social roles. And we are emphasizing all the time that gender is opposite of sex, based on the social belief. For sex, it is, sorry, I lost the translation here. Most of the cases, most of the countries are putting girls and women at the top of the categories in danger and facing GBV risk. So I would like you to take a main message from this session, that any violence that any person would face because he didn't follow the social rules, that means that it means that this person, it doesn't matter if he's a male or female. So in the light of the social power, in the social during the social in the light of social power, mostly that would be women and girls. That doesn't mean that men and boys are not facing GBV, but they think it's in less percentage. So if we have any session on GBV, that session we are using, in that session we are using a female language. So we say the ladies, we refer to those people with she titles, because those are the most endangered category. So if you have any questions, any additional comments, anything free, please raise your hand. We can unmute you so you can participate. Thank you. I'm going to give 30 seconds. If there were no questions, I'm going to move forward. Okay, I believe everything is okay. So please, if you have any questions, it is a very safe place, and we are providing safe meeting for providing your thoughts. So we are thinking about many risks endangering that GBV. So, including site planning, we have a main point we need to mention. Providing an appropriate and safe shelter is one means of strengthening protection. This is a very general, even if we are talking about GBV or non-GBV activity. A person with a proper and safe shelter, it is protected, he's protected. So what we are trying to say is that lots of GBV cases can be mitigated and prevented if there is a safe planning of sites where displaced populations live and safe and meet internationally known standards. So we can mitigate or even prevent some kind of violence. One of those violences are GBV. If the shelter is safe and well planned and meeting internationally agreed upon standards. So now we can say we have mitigated the risk that our friend Riarab has mentioned. Let's have a look at a category of the risks we might have. The most important risk women and girls might face or be exposed to is exposing women, girls, and other at-risk groups to risk of harassment, sexual assault, kidnapping, or even raping, other forms of violence when accessing water, fuel, or distribution sites.
هاي الأماكن اللي بيصير فيها تجمعات.
Those places with distribution and crowdness, if there were no GBV risk mitigation measures, so those groups can be endangered to such violence. We have another risk, which is SIA, risk of sexual exploitation and abuse. This risk especially is faced by construction workers or persons working within the site who are not clearly identified in a manner that local populations can understand. I have contractors, construction workers in the place working. They are not belonging to the organization. Even if they have a contract with the organization, we should inform the population about those people and clearly identify those people that those are providing those services to the humanitarian organization. And by that, they are obligated with the policies and the regulations the humanitarian organization have in place, such as SIA, preventing sexual exploitation and abuse, even if they are building work, construction workers, or whatever. Main points we are talking about all the time when we are dealing with GBV risks in shelter or any other activities. And the shelter and NFI cluster, we are talking about lack of sufficient lighting, intrusion, resistant materials, doors and windows that can expose women, girls and other at-risk groups to risk of sexual harassment and abuse. It is very essential and of essence to provide windows. But even if I have door and window with no lock, so I can't get the best use of it. So we would like to have them locked so we can make those categories safer and we can mitigate the risk of GBV. One other main issue that selecting site locations without considering safety issues, which might exacerbate GBV vulnerability. So if I chose a very remote location, which is maybe near a military base or a forest or somewhere empty, like nowhere, so we can maybe exceed the risk of GBV there. I would like to mention something. Risk we haven't provided from ourselves or from us. We have reached those through providing lots of tools and gathering information that NRC, IOM, and UNHCR have conducted. So those organizations are key players in the shelter NFI cluster, and they are an expert in GBV. They have provided tools, surveys regarding camps and these issues. And in the section 10, it was talking about GBV. At the end of this training, I'm going to show you this guideline and reference, which we can refer to with these points. So it is directly appointed and speaking to the shelter NFI activities. Do you agree on those risks? Through your experience, have you witnessed that? Or are we speaking out of real life and talking gibberish? As you yourself, as organization, have you faced those risks? Do you agree with those that these are with the context or not? Please write me in the chat box. Great, Aziz, Ismahan.
ضياء الدين خالد شكرا. طيب
ضياء الدين خالد.
يا جماعه نتفق على هالكلام يعني
It
احيانا.
is very important that we agree on that. Our aim is not that we would like to speak theoretically or just talk. It is about like there are real risks based on gender, and we would like to be on the same page, all of us, that these risks are existed, and we need to mitigate those, and we need to prevent those by different interventions or through different interventions. So these issues, we have provided them with some proposed solutions. Some of the proposed solutions can have the way of planning the camp, the physical layout of the camp, the physical place of the camp itself should be planned in a way that and facilitating the mitigation of GBV, the places of the toilets and showers, or the places that we are putting for showers, the most, where it should be, where is the perfect spot and with less risk for those vulnerable categories. How can we take those steps about the lighting, about the entrance? Every time I'm mentioning that. In each time we are speaking with shelter about that issue. The toilet
حمامات السيدات ما بتراعي خصوصية داخل على الحمام ما يشوف
toilet taken in consideration that the people who's coming like pass by can't see what's happening inside. So maybe there is a veiled lady who's took off her scarf, and if any guy have entered the entrance of the main toilet, he can see what's happening in the women's toilets and showers, because there is one entrance for both of them. This is wrong, guys. Even it is a common entrance, but this is wrong. Even though there is a separation later on, but in the entrance, it is wrong to have one entrance for both genders. So this issue, it is simple, but it is having lots of risk and imposing more vulnerability on the people, especially for girls. And when we are talking about division between gender and families, space and privacy, all of these issues regarding the place we are putting the toilets and showers, it is based on the context culture and the community culture. And we should refer to the community leader consultation, and especially with women and girls consultation, because those are the categories who might face this risk. The other point is about the point David was talking about. It is about appropriate division between gender and family are established, ensure sufficient space and privacy, including, when possible, door locks, sex-specific protection measures for female-headed households. The measurements and activities should be more strengthened, especially with female-headed households. If I am putting gender, I'm providing a house or a tent for divorced or widowed lady with children. It is very important that this shelter I'm providing, that it is not in a nowhere area, that they have locks on doors and windows, it has sufficient lighting. It is very important to take those measures in consideration. Every context has its own privacy and setting. Even if you have separated between the toilets between male and female, but they are in the same block, this is wrong. Maybe one of the solutions that we can have a separated block for women and additional separated block for men. We are not going to say far away from each other, but we can say a far of each other, a little bit far. We need to have solutions. If we are advising regarding locks on doors, it's not going to cost us $1 or $2 to have lock on the door already, lockable door. Those are very easy activities we can provide, and everyone can assure it is in their activities. It is very helpful regarding the communities. One of the solutions in our context that toilet blocks should be apart, a little bit space between them, especially if there is no enough lighting. So we might need to make them, sometimes they are in front of each other, not even the same direction. And we should make sure it is not far away, that the lady should 1 kilometer to reach the toilet. This is not okay. Let's have some additional proposed solutions. Ensure areas used by children are safe. When we're talking about children, we're talking about people under 18 and can be monitored by the community. Maybe there were a fire, something. What if that location is remote and it is not detected by the community? It is wrong. What if there is a swing and it is outside of the surrounding or outside the camp, and maybe there would be an accident? This is wrong. So we should take that in consideration. Due to the context we are working in, it is very important to think about our solutions that have been provided are right and go with the cultural context. That, for example, in certain areas, it would be culturally acceptable to place single or widowed women together on their own. Maybe we can put them in with their brothers or families next to her brother. So we need to make sure that her shelter is provided with locks. Let's continue with solutions. This context is an extraordinary context, so we need some alternatives. We have lighting that doesn't work on electricity, because electricity may come for 1 or 2 hours during the day. So why not alternative solutions, just like solar solutions? So we can provide individuals and families with light, solar light, private light. And we should make sure that this solution is safe. We don't provide them with like some gas lamp or something that may drop and start a fire. This is wrong. Those are basic essentials we need to take in consideration. They can help us mitigating the risk of GBV. We should think about the areas we are choosing, the site planning, the sites we are choosing. We need to plan those sites and spaces with safe spaces for women and girls and child-friendly spaces within these areas, so we can facilitate reaching those solutions. We can support those survivors who have faced or been at risk of GBV. A part of the community. So if we're talking about GBV, we need to involve women and girls beneficiaries at each stage of the design until the implementation, everything. All of these things we should ensure that they have a decision and heard thoughts. The last one regarding solutions, continue to prioritize female-headed households regarding the beneficiaries, selection criteria, vulnerability criteria. We need to provide priorities for those beneficiaries. We are encouraging you to keep providing those priorities for those categories, the female-headed households. We should give them priorities in every project we are implementing. Something we are on that we have include sufficient number of female staff in our team. This is very, very essential, and this is a point of advocacy we are assuring every time. Guys, there should be female staff in your team during all activities. In context and communities such as ours, we need to have female staff in our team, because lots of females may reject to receive humanitarian aid if there were no female staff providing that, because that may endanger them and make them face the risk of stigma. Omar, I'm going to listen to you, hear you later, but I'm going to finish at the end. Ensure that all staff and contractors, any person who's for our humanitarian organization, they should sign and adhere to code of conduct. This is essential. And lastly, we need to have indicators regarding GBV risk mitigation in our program. And we are going to see some indicators in the next slide. We should have GBV risk mitigation indicators so we can measure our progress and how much we are committed to the criteria of GBV risk mitigation. And are our mitigation and activities are okay, or should we alter, amend? I'm going to stop here. I'm going to listen to Omar first. Then if you have any question, anything you want to add, please come forward. Please, Omar, come, speak.
مرحبا يعطيك العافية. أنا بس كان
Good morning, many thanks for you. I have said about giving priority to the female-headed household. Frankly speaking, when we are giving priority to this category, which is indeed the most vulnerable category in the society or community, we are and one of the lessons learned we have get from one of the organizations who worked in that, they were targeting only this category. So they have a community composed only of this category of families headed by females. So they have missed the variation and colorful of the community. So even if we are going to give priority to the we need to make it categories. So we don't do harm during the following this principle. So let's do no harm when we are applying our criteria, even if we are targeting the most vulnerable target. This is the point I wanted to mention. Many thanks for you, Umar, and thanks for this slide. I believe you, Umar, is mentioning something we are talking about, or maybe it is common that you are talking about the widows camps. Those camps have been established only for widowed women. There is a guideline have been issued by the protection in cooperation with the CCM cluster is talking about this point, talking about the risks regarding this point. We are talking about in the light of the intervention, in the bigger intervention. If we are intervening and implementing our activities, we should give priority to that. So we should do risk assessment for whatever activity I'm implementing. I can see there is a risk mitigation for the GBV, but I should take in consideration the other risks might happen or come out due to my implementation. So Omar, you are talking about the women-only site, the widow camps and stuff. If you are more interested, please come in contact with us and you can have a look regarding this, and you can discuss this with the GBV related and CCM related section.
في أي كمان استفسار آخر من أي حدا من الزملاء أو الزملاء؟ مداخلة، نقاش.
Anything. Those solutions you have seen, the one we have proposed, are they easy? Are they tough? Hard to be implemented? Impossible? What do you think? Write me in the chat box. If it is easy, write easy. If it is not, Yaro, please come forward. Good morning. Many thanks for you again. No, those solutions you have mentioned are easy. I would like to mention something regarding what we are doing inside Syria, regarding the military escalations and updates.
صار في موجة نزوح أو موجات نزوح كبيرة غير قادرة المنظمات أو المجتمع المحلي المضيف سواء إدلب أو غير مناطق على استيعابها. فصار في مخيمات عشوائية.
We had lots of randomly established camps. So if we go to those camps, it is not easy to apply all the criteria and solutions you have proposed. Unfortunately, this is the reality. The randomly established camps are there, and we have difficulties applying standards and those criteria. So regarding site planning and activities, regarding site planning, in those randomly established camps are very bad. It is bad, really bad.
مع الأسف وكثير يعني
mitigation. There is no mitigations, and I would like to hear from Asmahan first, then I to answer you. Asmahan?
المداخلة.
Thanks for you and this session. Thanks يا for your intervention.
شاهدناها بأثناء نزوح إدلب
I would
الأخير
like to
وللأسف متوقع
point to a very important issue during the last displacement, and we are expecting a new influx of displacement. It is about
خليني أقول
the
مثل
reception
فتحة
centers and
استقبال الناس.
community centers as like mosques, schools who have received the IDPs as organizations were not able to respond to those influxes with their needs. Most of the 90% of the people in these centers were female.
لهذا النزوح
So
بتجهيز
it was important to prepare
غالبا كان
more to those
الأخص كان
displacements with more toilet spaces, privacy,
هذا الموضوع كان كثير
even wash basin.
يعني عمل
This is very important,
إيواء
and we would like to have advocacy regarding preparing such
النزوح القادم إن شاء الله طبعا
shelters to protect and provide dignity to those displacement people, so we don't repeat the story again and again. Thanks for you. Thanks for you. 2 points are really important here. The first one, we can't do what we cannot do. As much as we try to do, even with whatever criteria we have, we are trying our best and we are trying to commit, but there is always a higher power, something cannot comply with, especially with these special circumstances. But we are saying whenever we can implement or do, whenever we are planning, we are designing projects, so please take those in consideration. That would be great. Let's go to the randomly established camps. It is there, it is essential, but those are temporary solutions. There should be temporary, and we know it is temporary, but at the end, there is an emergency period or time, maybe 3 months. So when we are doing something standard, which is not an emergency response, it should be planned well. So to respond better to these emergencies, we need to plan better. We need to have the capacity to expect, to prepare. So that's why we have preparedness readiness plans in advance. So when we have any project, at least we have the minimum criteria we can adhere to and fly with. It is something difficult, but we need to go with. So whatever we are doing, we can't achieve 100%, but we should do our best to host as much as we can. We know that numbers are huge, 100,000, 200,000 people, but we should do our best. So whenever it is possible, we try to adhere. We do our best to commit. We have brought lots of examples regarding camps when humanitarian organizations have to plead in them. They didn't adhere to those minimum standards. If we have emergency situation, it is fate. It is what it is. But when we don't have emergencies, or when we are planning, when we are working in better circumstances, we should comply with these recommendations. Please allow me to continue. We don't have enough time. We still have around 5-7 minutes. We are going to see some indicators. We are suggesting a percentage of established sites that consider privacy for women and girls. So how much of established sites we have constructed are considering privacy for women and girls regarding the place, lighting, locks. So in how much sites, in how many sites? 2, number of or percentage of site planning shelter teams that include female staff. The last one, 3, percentage of staff or contractors who signed code of conduct and are applying PSIA policies. We are expecting it should be 100%. but let's see how much percent of staff. These are a group of indicators that we have and we can start with in each project. The referral of GBV survival, we have to, since we have started talking, we were talking about risk mitigation. And now we are going to talk about the response regarding GBV. In one of the sites, we have a case of GBV. What should we do? In case of one beneficiary reports GBV to a member of the site planning shelter team, this is a slightly chance, and maybe it is reaching 0%, but it might happen. So the staff member should provide the contact information of GBV service providers or to refer the case through the existing referral mechanism. So if the lady came to the staff member and told he has been harassed by one of the construction workers here, he can't close this issue, or he can't say, okay, I have no matter or issue with this. He should provide her with the contact information of GBV service provider. He should refer her. In the GBV subcluster, we have assigned an organization with phone number for each district. We have called them district referral focal points regarding GBV. This list, as you can see, have organization name, the area, the district they are active in, and with a phone number. Those information, our advocacy is all humanitarian workers should be aware and have in their pocket numbers and contact information of organization working in the GBV or referral focal points in their area. They should know if they are working in a rehab that the Space of Peace is working there, and there is its email and phone number. If I have any problem, any issue, I should provide this contact information. And we have the phone number regarding PSIA, which is 537-267-7138. This is related to our colleague Reem in the GBV subcluster. It is available on WhatsApp. It is available through calls. So this is the mechanism we have created for the humanitarian workers who are not specialized in GBV to have communication with those.
صار ما صار اي افصاح او اي قضيه حابين يسالوا يستفسروا عنها يتواصلوا مع حلقه. زميلاتي زملائي اصدقائي الاعزاء، من باب الفضول
just out of curiosity, please communicate with those numbers. Maybe they are not working. Please try to make sure they are working, how we can reach those. It is important to see, to know who's the referral focal points in your area. I wish you don't have to use it, but in case, maybe, there you might face a case. So please, those ready with
موضوع الإسعاف النفسي الأولي هذا
we haven't speak about
سنين ولكن بيحتاج وقت أكبر لأنه
psychological first aid. Okay. So when there is a GBV survivor, you should reach out to a referral focal point. You should you don't provide much information about this focal point. you only need to report the case. You don't provide more information. Maybe there is some security issues. She can't reach some places. You should mention those basic information and follow the instructions, please. So we have, you need to select the focal point, call the focal point, sure to have basic information, emphasize any security concerns, and follow up with the instructions provided. So let's join forces to ensure GBV survivors are able to heal appropriately and as soon as possible. Let's join forces, guys. Not a single organization can work alone. Let's try to speed up this healing process. Please disseminate this information among your teams in the field. Please, your colleagues in the field should have this basic information. How can we prevent those GBV risks through the numbers of our colleagues' focal points? We are here in the subcluster to provide as much help as we can enhance your capacity and ability to provide help. A question here, do you think this is important for you? Part of the question has been received through the Shelter cluster, and that's why we have conducted this session. So you can reach out bilaterally through email, telephone. There is the Reem email of Reem and my email, Abdul Wahab, as co-coordinator. You can communicate with us for any further information and discussion. Thanks for you appreciating your attendance. I hope this session has been good enough for you. I'm going to allow Aziza to speak. There is an issue here. David is saying, do we need consent form from the survivor to report? Yes, for sure. The person should provide a consent before any activity. So I should have a consent from the person. We should inform them, thanks for your trust, but I'm not professional in that. I'm going to come to connect you to my colleague. Are you agree with that? The informed consent is very basic component before any activity. This is not about me sending people around and giving their information here and there without their informed consent. So we should ask her, are you okay or not with that? Thanks, David, for your question. Aziza?
يعطيك العافية أستاذ عبد، يعطيكم العافية جميعا.
Mr. Abdul Wahab, thanks for you all.
أيوة.
Aziza, you should move to the French channel.
Okay.
Hear you.
Okay.
تختاري اللغة الفرنسية.
السلام عليكم.
You need to choose the French channel. Many thanks for you, Aziza. You are welcome.
بس كان عندي ملاحظة صغيرة إنه لاحظت أنا من خلال الأرقام التواصل.
Only during the regarding the contacts of the focal points, we have seen 2 Syrian numbers in Aleppo and Idlib, and I believe those are not working properly, especially in Idlib and Aleppo, because of the, as we know, the towers, the telecommunication towers have been removed. So for those numbers, I believe those numbers are not working anymore, especially Masarat and Space of Peace. Thanks for this note. We have discussed that with them about this option. They are saying these numbers are available on WhatsApp. And for us, as they are disseminating those contacts, so we are going to keep them. So if in case of these numbers have been removed or canceled, so then we can add a new one. As lots of organizations are using those numbers, thanks for your note. We are taking that in consideration, but our aim that if those numbers are still working, we are going to keep them working. We're not going to change them until there is any update or change of the number, then we are going to change that and update. Thank you. Any other comment? Any question? Suggestion? Feedback? Have you liked it? Haven't you liked it?
شكرا يا رب. طيب
Thank you, يا رب. Let me show you this toolkit.
Thank you, Mr. Abid, very much for from that session. Incredibly informative and incredibly useful information. I really I mean, as a site planner and an architect working with the UNHCR, I can't express the importance of this topic and these mitigation measures enough. On the Shelter Cluster website, there is links to a very good document, a very good book, site planning to mitigate gender-based violence. So there are really good resources available on the Shelter Cluster website, and also Mr. Abid can also provide further information to you as well. Again, I really express thanks to Mr. Abid for the time that he's given us today to provide this session. Please reach out to the Gender-Based Violence Cluster with any questions you have, and for help in working to help mitigate this gender-based violence issue. Also, please reach out to myself and Andrea. We can also help you in terms of site planning as well. So again, I express my thanks, and if there are any final questions, please raise your hand. Otherwise, the recording will be available to help and to disseminate to colleagues that have missed out on this session.
شكرا جزيلا لكم.
Many thanks for you all. As you can see, chapter 10 of this toolkit we can share with you alongside with the presentation. The recording in Arabic language I'm going to share with you, David and Andrea. As you can see, chapter 10 is talking about GBV, so you can have much more information and usage from this guide. Many thanks for you. I'm very grateful for having me here. If you have any questions, please communicate with me. I'm going to share the link, Khalid, the presentation, the link, every materials alongside with the recording I'm going to share with David and Andrea.
Again, thank you again, and thank you all for attending and showing any interest in this topic. If we can, as Mr. Abid said, if we can all work together to help to improve the conditions in the IDP camps, I mean that's a huge step forward for the protection measures for those who are at risk of GBV. So if there are no more questions or comments, I'll close the meeting. The recordings will be available, and please reach out with any questions. Thank you again.